Hi, this is Michael Grant, President of the National Bankers Association, on the Taj Longino Show, and I'm looking forward to the interview.
Welcome to the Taj Longino Show. My guest today, the President of the National Bankers Association, Mr. Michael Grant. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Taj. I'm so glad to be with you, and I'm glad to be speaking with your listening audience.
We thank you for taking the time out. We know you're very busy to speak with us, but, listeners, we got some information that they need to get, so hopefully we can get some information out to them so they can better understand more about the National Bankers Association and what that means for them. So going into our very first question here, for those who are unfamiliar, can you please tell our listeners what is the National Bankers Association?
The National Bankers Association is a trade association in Washington, D.C. That represents minority banks. It was formed in 1927 as the National, it was a Negro Association at the time, and National Association for Negro Bankers, and then over time it morphed, and its umbrella was open to include other minority banks. So today we have mostly African-American banks, but also some Hispanic-owned banks, some Asian American-owned banks, some Native American-owned banks, and one woman-owned bank. So we basically are the lobbying group, if you will, of the representative group here in Washington that takes the message to the regulators and to members of Congress, even to the White House, and to some other governmental agencies. We try to articulate the needs of these banks as they go about the serious business of providing financial services and products for some of the most underserved communities in America.
What has been one of the major challenges in accomplishing that one goal?
One of the major challenges, really frankly, is getting, let's start with the African American community, because that's most of our bankers, okay? Integration had a toxic side effect, and what that toxic side effect did was this: it caused a lot of our people to take the support of black businesses. Banks are only one of those category of businesses outside of our community. And so, en masse, we started to take our business and our support of businesses away from our communities. And obviously the net effect of that is you're draining the resources of your business. You're draining the economy of these communities because you have so much of the wealth of the black community, it's being hemorrhaged, and it's leaving the community, and it's helping others to become wealthier. But at the same time, we are causing ourselves to be in a more difficult situation. That's why we have one of the highest unemployment rates in America. Is in our community. Why? Just take the dollar. The dollar has to circulate, because when the dollar is circulating, it's creating jobs, it's creating opportunities, business opportunities, opportunities for individuals. But I've seen some numbers, and these are very close. They may not be perfect, but these are pretty close. They said in the Asian community, the dollar circulates 28 days. In the Jewish community, it circulates 19 days. In the white community, it circulates 17 days before it leaves. In the Hispanic community, it's 7 days. In the African American community, our dollars stay in our communities only 6 hours. Surprise you that our unemployment rate is double that of white America. We have just got to get a reset, if you will. And you have to put this thing also in a historical context, because I don't want to dog the black community. I don't want to trash our own community. Let's just face it. For centuries, we were told that we were not good enough, and that what was ours wasn't quite good enough. And so that conditioning went on for centuries. And so when the doors of integration opened up, where we could now sit at the counters with anybody, go to any hotel we wanted to go to, mix and mingle with whoever we wanted to, well, we kind of fled, from our communities, because we thought we were going for something better in terms of quality. We thought we were getting qualitatively better products and services. Now, this is not true. It's not based on any fact. You've got some white businesses that are well-run, some white businesses that are not well-run. You have some Asian businesses that are well-run, some are not so well-run. The same for African-American. But what we have done is unconsciously, I believe, unconsciously, we have associated quality with something other than black. And you know, that's really an interesting point because I used to do training for Ritz-Carlton hotels around the country. And the Ritz-Carlton, as you well know, is considered kind of the golden star. You know, it's the gold star standard. And guess who is delivering a lot of this excellent service? African Americans. But we have this idea that we have to go somewhere other than to our own to get the best products and services. And it's just, you know, it's a mind thing. We've got to take ownership of it. We can stop blaming other people. We can stop blaming racism. We can stop blaming anything for our not supporting our own. Our historically black colleges for decades took our kids with, you know, a subpar educational training and worked them through remedial training and got them prepared for college and then sent them to the world of work. You know, it was our businesses that took care of us, that gave our young people opportunities for work and for training. We did so many things and we did them right. But when integration came along, all of a sudden, we had this judgment on our own, and it was a very stiff thing, and it was a very high and I think unfair standard that we started to degrade what was ours. And it just doesn't make any sense. Yes, there are instances where black companies have not produced the best quality of, as I said, of goods and services, but you can say that about any group. But we seem to talk about it more if it's ours. Let me give you another classic example of what I'm talking about. Let's take going to a loan for a bank, right?
Okay.
Now, we're finding that a lot of what we call prime customers, people with good credit scores and the rest, you know, good incomes, you know, debt-to-income ratios and so forth, they're really in good shape. We're finding out that some of our best potential customers go to other banks other than the black bank. But this is what a lot of us will do. We will try to get our banks from other places, our loans from other places. But if everybody else turns us down, then we'll come to the black bank as the bank of last resort. And then guess what will happen? If our credit was poor, if we're not a good credit risk, and the black bank turns you down, it's the last bank that you talk to. But if that bank turns you down, that's the only one you will talk about. We'll go out and tell everybody the black bank didn't give me my loan. But what we don't tell is, but neither did B of A, neither did Wells Fargo, neither did boom, boom, boom. So what we're needing really, my friend, is just a re-education, if you will. It's a consciousness-raising thing, and it's happening as we speak. Across the country, the African-American community is starting to talk about its dollars, how to manage its dollars, how to control its dollars, how to harness its dollars. How do we get more control of the means of production? How do we get control of the product distribution? You know, how do we get control of access to credit? How do we take control of the economic destiny of our own community? We are beginning to see some real bright lights around the country. This enthusiasm right now for support of black business and for economic empowerment reminds me of the movement that what must have been going on right before Dr. King and Malcolm X and some of the others emerged as mouthpieces for those movements. There's a yearning right now in this country and across the great continent of Africa, down the Caribbean. There's a yearning for black people to take more economic control of our own destiny. It's a very healthy thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's not anti-anybody. We're not hating on anybody. Lincoln said, with malice towards none. This movement has nothing to do with hating anybody. It has to do with learning to love ourselves and to turn positive energy back towards ourselves and to start creating opportunities for ourselves. And I believe once we start to do that, we're going to be more respected by those who are outside of our community because they see we're taking responsibility and control of our own economic situation.
I want to touch on something that you said because you said a lot right there. So I want to touch on a few things. You said the black dollar circulates only for 6 hours before
That's right.
For it leaves the community.
That's exactly right.
But we have barbershops,
Yep.
beauty salons, black clothing stores. We have black car lots. We have, liquor stores. We have, but we don't. So if it's only circulating in 6 hours, you're pretty much saying that we don't even own the businesses that's in our own community. So why is it that we don't even own the businesses in our own community, and the ones that we do own, we don't support them, and we go spend our dollars outside?
Well, that's a general statement. I would not say we don't own our own businesses. We do own some businesses. You know, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, it's been reported that we have between 1.6 and 2.1 million businesses. Now, let me say this very quickly. Most of those are not mom and pop stores. They're mom or pop. A lot of those are proprietary. They're, sole proprietors in those businesses. But let me just say this. Of those businesses that we do have, we do own. We just need to give more support to those businesses. It's not that we don't have businesses. We do have them. But what we want to do is right now the gross annual receipts of a black business is about $72,500. I'm working with a group called Black Wealth 2020, and one of our goals in 5 years is to double that amount. We want the black business's gross receipts to be about $150,000 so that that business person can hire another person. If we can get those kind of numbers, then we could probably see the creation of another 1 million jobs across the country in our communities. So yes, we do own some businesses, but we need those businesses to expand and to grow.
Now, with the bit, I know we own some businesses. I've seen, even in my city, right, you have...
Where's your city?
Indianapolis, Indiana. In Indianapolis,
okay.
You have some businesses, black-owned businesses, where the store hours, operation hours, are from, let's say, 9 to 4. They'll open up late, close early. You don't know, they don't go to lunch in consistent time periods. So how can we support businesses that are not consistent with the customer base?
Now let me ask you to be fair. Have you done a serious study of all the black businesses in Indianapolis so that you can draw the conclusion, a broad statement, that the black businesses of Indiana open up late, they stay long for lunch, and they close early? Is that a fair statement, or is that a blanket statement? Is that a generalization?
That's not all businesses.
No, because I guess if I go to Indianapolis and start talking with the black business community over there, I would get a completely different story. You have some maybe who are not doing what they're supposed to do, but as I said, you can get that in any community. We focus on what's negative about our community, but we ignore all the positive and good things that are happening in our community.
Well, I'm asking certain questions that are coming from the people of every day who deal with to supporting black businesses throughout the city. So it's not all businesses are this way, but I do know there are some, and we just want to lift up everybody. We want everybody to do good. We want all the businesses to thrive within the city, within all the cities of the United States.
Well, I would ask you to ask your listening audience, any business that says they're going to open at 9, if they're not open at 9, or if they're not open, they're extending their lunch, or they're closing early, I think we owe it to that business to go and say to that business owner or that manager, look, I'm trying to support you, but how can I support you if I can't predict when you're going to be here? There has to be consistency here. I don't have any problems with holding people accountable. If that business is supposed to be open from 9 to 5, then damn it, it should be open from 9 to 5. And if it's not open, then I think somebody should care enough to go say to that manager, look, the word all over town is you don't open when you say you're going to open, and you close before you say you're going to close. How can we give you our patronage? How can we give you our support? But make sure you have your facts right. And I know that doesn't fit every black business in Indianapolis.
Correct. It does not. It's not all businesses. It's not all businesses in Indianapolis. It was just some. It's some that I experienced personally, and it's some that I know of friends of mine and just conversation with people who have experienced it.
Well, tell them to go talk to the owner. Please do that. Tell them to go talk to the owner or the manager and say, look, I'm trying to support you, but I have a right as a consumer to expect the best product and service that I can get. And one thing that I have a right to expect is that whatever hours you put on the front of your door, that those hours will be honored. Those doors will open when you say they're going to open, and they're going to close when you say they're going to be closed. We owe it to that business to go out there and have that conversation. That shows that you care about your community.
Another point that you made about loans, and you call them prime, is that you use the term prime customer, which means good credit, but they'll get turned down at the white banks and then finally go down to the black banks. So I got a question for that statement there. How can black-owned banks gain the community's trust to do business with them first?
Well, I think what you do is you give them a shot. I mean, we've got some banks doing some incredible things. Let me tell you, for example, in Washington, D.C., a couple of years ago, one of our banks, Industrial Bank, wanted to, put the word out. They've done a lot of things to show that they care about the community. But one of the things that they're doing to show they care about the community was they had a contest among black entrepreneurs, right? And so they wanted people to submit their business plans to the bank so that they could see which of these business plans were the best, right? And what the bank did, because it was 80 years, it was the 80th anniversary, what the bank did was it gave $80,000. They split up $80,000 with 5 entrepreneurs, the ones who did the best business plans, and gave them this seed money, right? And then everybody else who had entered the contest had a chance to have a banker look at their business plan and tell them where the gaps were. Now, you tell me what major bank in this country would have taken that kind of interest in the black community?
None that I know of.
Okay? But see, these things don't get out enough. We do a lot of very positive things. Go to the black bank. Now, we don't have a black bank in Indianapolis. I know we don't. We do up in Chicago. But go to the black bank. Go on our website to find out where they are. It's www.nationalbankers.org. Go on our website, find out where the black businesses are. Some of them you have online banking, some don't. But go find out where they are and contact those banks and say, listen, I want to do business with you. Let me talk to you. Let me come in to see you. Start to forge that relationship. You will find out that it's a lot better than some people think it is.
What has been the major factor for the decline of black banks?
As I just told you, toxic side effect of integration. A lot of things happened to us as a result of integration. It wasn't just our black banks. It was a number of our businesses. The people were leaving. They're going to other places to give their patronage, And then recently into this recession, the Great Recession, 2008 to about 2010-11, it reaped devastation. It caused absolute devastation on the economy of the black community. We lost as much as 40% of our wealth during that Great Recession. 92% of the wealth that black Americans have is in our homes. And you know how hard we were hit by that foreclosure crisis. So when we get hit, when everybody else is hit, as they say, when the majority community gets a cold, we get pneumonia. Because we're always starting from the bottom. We're the last hired, the first fired. It's most difficult for us to get loans, even when we have good credit. A lot of these things work against us. So some systemic racism is still there as a barrier. But that's not the only problem. I think the greatest challenge to us is to turn inward, to look at each other and say, look, what can we do to build up our own communities? What can we do to give each other more support? How can we work and trust each other in a way that makes us a stronger community? Stabilize our communities. Put more emphasis on the struggles of the youth. A lot of young people out doing all kinds of things because they don't have a lot of hope. They don't have a lot of direction. They don't have a lot of mentors working with them and showing a love for them and an interest in them. So we've got a lot of building to do, We've got a lot of turning inward to do, to work on ourselves and build ourselves up. Look, as I said, after 400 years of, just incredible assault to our spirits, to our minds, to our wallets, we've just been through a very difficult time in this country. So it should not surprise you that when the doors of integration opened and black people thought they were fleeing to a better way of living, that's what they did. They just start leaving. Our colleges suffered, our hospitals suffered, our businesses suffered, and the models in those communities disappeared. So now a lot of the young kids, the only model that they see is a pimp or a drug pusher or they're on TV, they see a basketball player. They don't have many role models to know what they should be connecting to. So we've got to take a serious look inward and stop blaming everybody else for what's happening to us. Whatever happened in the past, happened in the past. Whatever barriers in the present, our job as responsible men and women is to get around those barriers. We're not going to blame anybody else for the black community not being where we ought to be. What we're going to do is say this. We, through our efforts, have helped to make this one of the richest countries in the history of the world. If we, through our efforts, could give America such great inventions, if we could help America build up its businesses, if we could help America build up its capital, if we could do all the great things that we've done for others, we could do the same things for ourselves, and we'd start to think like that in a very positive way, and then be, steadfast with it, commit to it. You will start to see some wonderful things happening in our community. But it's really up to us. Nobody is going to save us but us, and nobody should save us but us.
You mentioned something about the youth, and today's youth, there seems to be a gap between the communication and understanding between the youth and the older generation. How can we bridge that gap?
Well, let me just give you an example of something that's happening with us at the National Bankers Association and with a group that I'm working with called Black Wealth 2020, okay? There are these young people, they're all millennials, and they call themselves HBCU Wall Street, or Wall Street HBCU, I'm not sure which one it is. But they're a group of young millennials, and they're moving around the country. They've done something in Atlanta, they've done something in Wisconsin, they've been up in here in D.C., of course. But what they're doing, they are supporting this idea of buy black and bank black. And they are teaching their young audiences why it's important, to trade with each other and support each other in business, and to go into business, and to, I guess some of the groups are even thinking about doing investment stuff together. I'm not sure what they're planning on doing there. They got to make sure they do that right. I told them don't talk about investments unless you have consulted with someone at the SEC, because you don't want to get yourself in trouble, okay? But they are talking about they might want to do some, investment groups and some other things I think I've heard them talk about. But at any rate, they have met with me on a number of occasions. They were invited out to our national convention, and because we wanted the bankers out there to know that they had given up a Saturday to encourage the community to open accounts at Industrial Bank here in Washington. And so they're a very highly motivated young group. But they like being mentored by people like myself and others, who are older and who know a little bit more and who've been around the block a few times. But I think it's the responsibility of everybody who is in leadership in our community, whether you're an educator, whether you're in the medical profession, the healthcare professions, whether you're in the grocery business or the funeral business, or it doesn't matter what business you're in, if you're with an organization. I think all of us, the churches and everybody, have a responsibility, if you're in leadership, to be reaching down to the younger generation and to take somebody under your wings, and to show them what's possible and encourage them. Their minds are very creative. This next generation is very brilliant. All they need is an opportunity to express that brilliance. And that's the role of the mentor, to get the young people in a position to help them to get a vision of where they want to go, and then to inspire them and encourage them to stay with it. Don't start it today and stop tomorrow. No. Once you get your eyes on the prize, stay with it. Persistence is very important. So the older generation not only helps the younger ones to kind of get a real good, clear vision of where they want to go, and then the older ones are supposed to encourage the young ones to follow certain principles, like, being on time and being reliable. Your word is your bond. And when you do work, set a very high standard for yourself, and don't just try to do something to get it done, but give the highest quality that you can give to your work. If someone calls you in to give you some work or a contract or, just something to do in their office, give it everything that you got. And if you're not sure, ask someone. But don't take it lightly, take it seriously. So that's what the younger generation needs. They need older people who can find out what their interests are, who can encourage them in their interests, and then talk to them about setting very high standards for themselves. That's what older people did for me and probably did for you, and now that's our job to do that for the younger generations.
What advice would you give to everyday working man or woman on investing in credit?
Well, I wouldn't say a lot to everyday working folks about investing. Again, as I said, investing is, you've got to be very careful when you talk to people about investing, because, you know, there are certain rules of the SEC when it comes to investing, and you want to follow those rules. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. But what I would say is about credit is I would ask everyone to, you know, go and get your credit score. You know, go to www.annualcreditreport.com, www.annualcreditreport.com. If you are thinking about a home, I would encourage them to go to www.hud.gov to get counseling. We also have an organization that we work with very closely, headed by Marcia Griffin. They do counseling for those who are interested in buying their own home. Her webpage is www.homefreeusa.org. So there are all kinds of, you know, all kinds of good information out there. But the bottom line is, you want to check your credit score, see where you are, and get some help. You'd be surprised how much you can improve that credit score if you get the right kind of assistance, and if you're willing to start paying off some of the things that you owe. So and a lot of this stuff seems daunting at first, but once you start taking those baby steps to repairing your credit or starting to save your money and manage your money a little bit better, God knows I've been one of the worst in my day. But the bottom line is, if we take control of our finances and start setting goals for ourselves, set financial goals, and postpone immediate need gratification, these are some things that have caused us to spend money that we didn't have, you know, to buy things we don't need, to impress people we don't even care for. So there's a lot we can do individually, and I think repairing your credit is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves.
One more question. I know you have to go.
Yeah.
I always ask my guests this question at the end, because everybody gives a different answer, and it's different inspirational answers. Give me your 3 keys to success.
3 keys to success for me personally. First is my belief in Almighty God. I believe if you ask the Spirit of God to guide you, you will be guided in the right direction. We all come here with gifts. They might be, you know, dormant. We may not be aware of what they are. We may not have a clear vision of where we want to go. But if you ask the Holy Spirit to guide you, you'll be surprised. You'll be absolutely amazed at the doors that will open that you didn't know existed. The people will come into your life that you didn't even know. Or people that you do know will say things that, you know, just kind of amaze you. So first, number one is to go to God and then give God the glory and thanksgiving for answering your prayer. And I do believe that works. It has worked for me, and it has worked for so many others. So number one, go to God. Number two, be very honest with yourself about what you want to do with your life. You know, the question a lot of people don't ask themselves is, what do I really want out of life? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my time here? We know that we don't know how much time that we have, but what would you like to do with the time that you have? Become very focused, laser focused on what it is that you think you want to do with your life, okay? Number three is you have to make the commitment to pay the cost to be the boss. You've got to pay for success up front. You don't wait, you know, like a charge card. No, you have to be prepared to pay the cost for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And you have to endure. You have to deal with and suffer some setbacks. You have to be prepared to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to keep moving forward. So you've got to have that persistence, you know, that it's an incredible trait to have. So after you have gone to God and after you become clear about what it is that you want to accomplish, then the next thing is to go as if nothing and nobody can stop you from achieving what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Thank you very much, Michael Grant, for your time on the Cars Longino Show. Definitely was appreciated.
Thank you, sir. I wish you all the success in the world.